Hello, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Father Balmax Pereira, Assistant Professor of Botany at St. Joseph Vaz College, Korthali. In this module, we begin the course on plant ecology and phytogeography. This course is for the third year students of Bachelor of Science in Botany, and the course code is BOC 110. In this particular module, we are going to deal with the introduction, that is concept of ecosystem. We will look into the components and organization of the ecosystem. We will be going through the concept of ecosystem, a short look at the divisions of ecology. We will also see components of an ecosystem and organization of ecosystem. At the end of this module, it explains the concept of ecosystem. It also identifies the components of an ecosystem and evaluates the levels of organization in an ecosystem. So to begin with the concept of ecosystem, what is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is defined as a structural and functional unit of ecology in which we study the relationship between the living organisms within themselves and their environment. Now, this term ecosystem was coined by A.G. Tanksley in 1935 to mean that there are living organisms, there is non-living component, that is environment, there are interactions between the organisms themselves, and all these organisms, they also interact with the non-living component, that is the environment. The study of this ecosystem is called as ecology. Now, we'll just have a short look. What is ecology, or how the ecological, or how the major divisions of ecology are presented to us. So we will see based on taxonomic groups. We can say plant ecology when we study the plants in relation to the environment. We will call it animal ecology when we study the animals in relation to environment. Based on the habitat, ecology can be divided into habitat ecology. That includes the study of animals and plants in different type of habitats. It can be further divided into freshwater ecology, or marine ecology, terrestrial ecology, or forest ecology, or tundra ecology, or desert ecology, depending on their habitat. We can understand this in this simple presentation. The types of ecosystem we see, basically it is divided into two: terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Now, the terrestrial ecosystem, we have four major categories over there: the forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, tundra ecosystem, and desert ecosystem. And on the aquatic ecosystem side, we have two major categories, that is freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem. These ecosystems we will be learning in the further modules as we go through this course. So in this particular module, we will not go into the details. We just note down that these are the types of ecosystem, the ecological studies that we need to do in this particular course in plant ecology and phytogeography. So based on the levels of organization, we can divide ecology into autoecology, that is the study of individual species or individuals in relation to the environment. That can be as simple as autoecology of species, where individual species are studied. Each individual species is studied in relation with the environment. Or we can study it as population ecology, where individuals of the same species are studied together. So entire species, in that species we take each individual. So that is population ecology. And the second part in this level of organization is synecology, where the study of groups of organisms in relation to their environment is studied. So when we study these organisms in relation to their environment as a group, we call it as synecology. So in this synecology, we have community ecology and ecosystem ecology. Community ecology is concerned with the study of the living organisms, that is the biotic community, which comprises of interdependent plants and animals in a particular area. Ecosystem ecology will deal with the community of living organisms and their environment as an integrated unit of nature. So we learn it together, entire ecosystem. That is once again referring to the term itself, it is a relationship or interaction between the living organisms and its environment. So to say it is a chain of different relationships that is studied in these ecosystems, and we call it as ecology. So basically when we do these studies, we have the components of ecosystems which we will be learning, and they can be divided into biotic and abiotic component. In the biotic component, primarily we have the producers. The producers are the autotrophs, means they prepare their own food. So they produce food or they produce energy by using the energy of the sun. Secondly, we have the consumers. The consumers cannot prepare their own food, or they cannot take the energy of the sun and prepare their energy. They depend on the producers, so they consume. They are called as heterotrophs because they depend on the autotrophs for their energy. The third category in the biotic community is the decomposers. Whatever has come from the living organisms has to go back to the nature, and the saprotrophs, that is the decomposers, they do this work. In the consumers section, that is the heterotrophs, we have different levels. We have primary consumers, we have secondary consumers, we have tertiary consumers, and even we can have more consumers when they go on consuming each other in the food chain. The second part of this component of this ecosystem is abiotic one, that is, it is non-living. And this non-living component is very, very important for the living organisms. That is why there is interaction. So in abiotic component, we see the climatic factors, we see the edaphic factors, we see the topographic factors. All these factors are related to how the living organisms, that is the producers, the consumers and the decomposers, will thrive in that particular ecosystem. We see these as examples. The biotic components, we have the living things, which can be plants, which can be animals, which can be microorganisms, which can be decomposers. And abiotic, we see different type of non-living things like earth itself, sunlight, we have water, we have open space, we have different climatic factors, edaphic factors that we have just seen in the previous slide. So these are the components of an ecosystem. Now all these components are organized. So we have different levels of organization in an ecosystem. Basically, if we look at this particular presentation that is in front of us, we have different levels. The level begins with individual. Any organism that can breed or self-breeding can take place in that individual, then we can call that organism as an individual. Now, many individuals come together and form a group of the same species. In this particular example, we see the fish of same species. So they form a population of that particular fish. or that particular individual. It can be anything, fish, or it can be a plant, or it can be animal, it can be anything. But together, when they come together as a group of same species, they form population. Now there will be different populations in a particular area. Now the diverse populations of different species, when they come together, when they live together, when they interact with each other, that is called as a community. So we have different type of communities which have different type of individuals which form different populations. So these populations, if we go to the next level of organization, we see these living organisms, that is the communities, they interact with the environment, that is the non-living component of the ecosystem. And when they interact, there are food chains, there are food webs that are taking place. So that is called as the ecosystem. That is the next level of organization. Now we have different type of ecosystems in a particular area, which will be a bigger area. All this set of ecosystems together, they form the next level called as a biome. So in this biome, you will have many ecosystems, and these ecosystems themselves will be related to each other. So in a biome, different ecosystems are connected with each other and interact with each other. And when we have different biomes, all the ecosystems together, you can say the entire earth itself, it is a sum of all ecosystems. That is called as biosphere. So we have life which is interacting with each other, that is different forms of life which are interacting with each other, and these life forms are interacting with non-living component, that is the environment. So that is where we get the entire ecosystem, and when we learn this entire ecosystem, that is ecology. So in this particular course, we will be learning about plant ecology. So everything that is related with the plants and how the plants interact with maybe animals, how they interact with the non-living beings, that is environment, that will be our entire study for this course. These are the references. Thank you for attending this course.